Good morning. It is February 23rd, 2023. You are live with Doug and Quinston. We are here to check your workflows, answer your questions, and generally just make sure you get the best experience out of TimeBolt. We have some new feature updates to talk about today and some customers on the call that we're looking at some troubleshooting. We'll just go ahead and start right in. Quinston, we just updated to 5.0.9 and 5.0.9, and we've got some exciting updates to share. Let me just share the screen and then TJ will get right with you. For these updates, we did a lot of updates to the markers function. The first update, as you're going through and you're marking sections, you can use markers to create YouTube shorts or reels. And as you're going through and you're selecting different scenes that you believe best represent what it is that you want to show, you can click the M button, add your markers. As you can see, this little yellow line is added. And at this time, now you can go down, instead of just having to click keep only mark cuts, you can certainly do that if you would to preview, but you also have the option now of going down here and adding your mark cuts to the render queue directly. If you wanted to save them as an XML, you do keep only mark cuts. And as you can see, only the marked sections are here. And at this time, you would be able to save out as an XML file. After we clear out of keep only mark cuts, I hit Command Z, but as you can see, the markers are still kept. And let's say you had a number of different shorts that you were creating, you can do clear markers. And now, as opposed to going back and finding your markers and clicking M, you can just click this button and now all your markers are gone and you're set up to do your next short or reel. We also added the ability to do turbo and keep only mark cuts as a WAV audio only file. We also added a button when you do an audio only video, to be able to activate turbo mode as well. Quinston, am I missing anything that you can see? As you can see within turbo mode, you can now also add mark cuts to render queue and do turbo mode with mark cuts, along with doing audio only.
Yeah, overwrites. We have fixed overwrites. Overwrite. When you add multiple videos to the render queue, they get incremented by an _1. So you don't overwrite the same file over and over again. If you press the add to render queue button 3 times, for example, 1, 2, 3, and then click on the queue, you see it added an _2, _3, and _4 to it, so that it doesn't overwrite the same file over and over again.
Fantastic. That's great. And what was the issue with doing that same thing with XML that you were saying?
Regarding what?
Well, when you save as an XML file, if I was to download as an XML.
No, it also, I think, increments.
Do those do increments as well?
Yeah, they do.
That way you don't have to constantly rename each one of your files.
No, you don't.
Changing the output file path.
No, it's just incremented to the next number.
Okay. So if I wanted to do this, I do keep only mark cuts. And then I would go down here, save as XML. I think that's.
Oh no, it doesn't increment. Oh, okay.
So
I guess we'll have to change that. Yeah.
We'll get that changed up in the next version. That way you can just continually go through, add your mark cuts, and you're not worrying too much about file names at that stage. The first we have on the line is TJ. I know TJ. How you doing?
Doing good, Doug. How are you guys doing? Hey, Quint.
Hi. We're good.
I know TJ sent us a video. He sent us a video where he's hitting long Zoom calls, and for some reason he's getting a pretty substantial hiccup each time it goes through, even though he has made sure to click enable for third-party editors, and it's not a variable frame rate file. That's correct, TJ?
I have it up on my screen. If you want me to share the screen, I can show you right
sure.
now. Well, this is one of our enablement sessions using Zoom. Doug, you hooked me up with checking off that box for third party, which I did, which took care of the XML issue and the gap that we were seeing when it went inside of Resolve. That's all taken care of. I just want to let you listen to when it hits the pink area, what happens to it.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're checking us out on the recording, Thursday, February 16th, we're doing monthly product updates. Kate is with us. So with no further ado, Kate, I'll let you take it away.
For this month, we are covering back until the holidays, but it is a little sparse because there was the holidays and facility and all kinds of other things going on. Thank you to Tommy and Liv.
So you can see where the pink is on the gap. It slows down, and this part is TimeBolt doing his thing. This part right here is grabbing that other piece. Whether I'm using Umcheck or not, this thing pauses in that. And I know I updated to 508 2 days ago. I just heard that you guys have 509 right now. I'll do that, but that's what I'm experiencing right now. And it slows down. These enablement sessions go for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's slowing me down in terms of trying to get this thing done.
Doug, can you give me five seconds? There's somebody at the door. I gotta answer the door.
Sure. Can you put this on 1.5x, the preview playback rate?
Let me start from the beginning. I'll hit you with that too.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're checking us out on the recording. It's February 16th, we're doing monthly product updates. Kate is with us. So with no further ado, I'll let you take it away.
For this month, we are covering back until the holidays, but it is a little sparse because there was the holidays and facilities and all kinds of other things going on.
This looks the same how I've been editing for a long time. Is it as pronounced as you recall it? Stick?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm back.
Say that again.
Just go to where some red stuff are. We don't need to where the most it looks like it's going pretty fine for me right now. Here, hit spacebar. Hit spacebar.
For this month, we are covering back until the holidays. But it's a little sparse because there was the holidays and facilities and all kinds of other things going on. Thank you to comment on this.
What's the issue?
That never did that before. There's a pause when you hit the red area.
Sometimes what happens is a regular editor, right? So TimeBolt has to seek from one endpoint to the other endpoint. And what happens sometimes is that because this is a full quality video, and it has to play the same video over and over again. There could be a pause sometimes when it's just trying to find the frame. That's about it. Is there any mechanical issue apart from just slowing down? Because this won't show up in the rendered file, this pause. It's just for the preview.
No, there isn't any other issue, but this didn't occur a few versions back though.
Mm-hmm. It might also be video related. It might not be because TimeBolt hasn't changed a lot at all. This code base has not changed. Have you tried any of the file? A file which previously you have tried which worked?
I can go back to it. I can go back to a previous file and check that for you as well.
Because it also is sometimes video related. When you, for example, let's say you're playing a 4K file. 4K files are intensive on the CPU. They take time to seek the frame.
I can understand on a 4K file, but Zoom doesn't produce.
Yeah, both audio tracks there. Here, both of them. Even though TimeBolt is only using one of them.
Are you using a multi-track setup? Does the file have multiple tracks?
Yes, it does. I'm reacting to. Don't know when.
Are we playing?
That's like the buffer, but I'm wondering if there's a way to have. Both audio tracks there.
I'm looking to
Here,
see.
both of them.
That kind of looks what's going on with yours, isn't it?
Hit it again. Let me just see it.
TimeBolt is only using one of them.
Are you using a multi-track setup? Does the file have multiple tracks?
Yes, it does.
There's no other.
Oh, I was doing keep only mark cuts. That's one short Zoom call. Let's play this again.
With two audio tracks. When I'm editing my reaction, I can't hear what I'm reacting to. Don't know when.
Yeah, TJ, that's looking a lot like exactly the same behavior you've got. I don't think there's anything we're going to be able to do about that, though. I mean, it's
audio tracks there, but I can hear both of them.
we're going to have to.
But this doesn't show up in the rendered file. The rendered file has the smooth flowing video.
But we appreciate you bringing this up.
The option is, okay.
There's just going to be a little skip that as you're going through and editing. Coincidence, it's not going to show up in the final file.
That sounds good. What I'll do is I didn't want to move forward with Resolve until you and I talked about this. Let me just get the XML, drop it into Resolve, and like I said, once you gave me that check mark for the Zoom calls with third-party software, that thing's been rocking and rolling really good. I'll cut this one through, and I'll send you an email later on today.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you, TJ.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm just going to stay silent now. I appreciate the help.
Next we have Ethan. Ethan, how you doing? Is there a certain question we can help you with? Can you kind of give us background about something?
I had a couple. One of them was if you could add multiple videos into TimeBolt. If you have a bunch of kind of shorter ones, but then you could just edit them all at once. I've got a bunch that I want to go through, but then you can just add them all.
You're talking about.
You can batch them. You can
Well,
batch them
that's not what that's not what he's talking. This is what he's talking about. I think what you're saying is that you got a bunch of takes for one video, right?
Yeah.
You took a take on one day, and then maybe 10 minutes later you took another take, and then a half hour later you took another one, and you've got 5 to 6 different video files that are all going to amass into one. And so what you're having to do right now is go in and say, drop one in, get the XML file, then export the XML file, put it in the Premiere, drop number 2 in, get the XML file. That is what everybody has to do. We understand that problem. It's a stringing problem. We would have to be able to select all 6 files. What you're looking for is the ability to select all 6 files in a certain sequential order, right? And run it in TimeBolt to where maybe you're able to just go from video to video, cut those down, and then export a single XML file or rendered video into Premiere, correct?
Yeah.
That's that string option of customers just having
We'll have to build that.
That's a feature request, and you're definitely not the first to ask for that.
Okay.
But some type of string function, and we've got that down as a feature request as well. Does that sound right? Am I putting words in your mouth? Anything?
No, that sounds about right. I did have another question though. with the audio, I'm recording 2 separate audio tracks, but I'm only getting one, even though there's 5 separate tracks in TimeBolt. They're just all white.
You have to change them manually after you bring them into Premiere Pro. What happens is Premiere Pro doesn't automatically assign the audio tracks to the correct corresponding audio. Go into Premiere Pro and manually adjust it. Just right click on it and go to the audio settings. I have a video which, Doug, do we have that video up?
Yes, and there's actually a dedicated video to that from live office hours on YouTube about assigning multiple audio tracks in Premiere.
Can maybe link it here?
I'll have to find it. It's under XML, how to map multiple audio tracks XML in Premiere. But I can pull that down too.
Okay, can you see my screen? This is a file which has multiple audio tracks. So you can see A1. So A1 and A2, these are 2 audio tracks. In TimeBolt, what will the output of TimeBolt will show up something like this, where you have multiple sections. What you do is you do a Control A or Command A. You do a right click and you go to audio channels. You'll have to manually assign them to L1, R1, L2, R2. In TimeBolt, when you import the XML file for the first time, all of these will be checked. You right click, you go to audio channels, and then
you just want to select one of each.
You diagonally select them.
Is that the same in DaVinci then?
It's the same thing. I don't know why the video is not linked. We need to find the video where we showed this in the tutorial.
I'll get that after this. You made a video all about that.
There is a video about that.
Okay.
And then the only other thing was a month ago or something, but the zooming out. I don't know. I think it'd be nice.
What's that? Zooming out
For clips. Yeah.
Just in
that will come
video
eventually,
itself.
I guess. Yeah, that's still there. It'll come eventually.
But zooming out for what?
The zooming out the timeline in TimeBolt.
No, not the timeline, the video.
Yeah.
Like you have the
the
punch
zooming
in.
out the video. Oh yeah. It's in the features requests.
That was just one thing Quinton understood what you were looking for. That was a hard, that's not what punch in and punch out is?
No, because
it
it
doesn't
only
go
goes
out.
out as far as this screen it is.
Doesn't
It'll
go
put like a
completely
black
out.
border around it.
Oh, would that be a custom zoom area, Quinston? Would that flow in a custom zoom area? If you're wanting to do, I don't understand.
It'll be 100 and it'll be below 100. Yeah.
Yeah, below
80%, 75, 100, 50.
Custom zoom amounts would effectively handle his request.
I mean, not really. That logic will have to be built into it. It won't just work automatically. It needs to be programmed.
Thank God I've got one of the smartest programmers on the planet. Awesome. Well, we'll take a look at that, Ethan, and the string function. Thank you for bringing that up. And then with the multiple audio tracks, I think you've got the information there, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we've got that information in our features page.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining. Next up, we have Fabian. Fabian, you going to be able to click your video on?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Awesome. I think my video is in the wrong format. Can you see me?
It's in the gray format. It's in full opacity format.
Don't worry. I just want to give you feedback on the last update and about the video preview for the Ninja Cast, and it's working really fine. It's fast. It gives a preview for the files, and it was a very huge improvement to checking out the video. It's a lot easier because I can see my face now during the cast. Sometimes it helps because I have 2 takes with the same text. Now I can see it. I wanted to give you the feedback on that. And second, I want to tell you that this week, I'm going to record a new video for YouTube on these useful new tools. By the way, do you have a public roadmap section on the website or something? Because I've been hearing a lot of feature requests, and sometimes it would be great to just give the people the address of the roadmap for future updates. People can buy now, knowing that they will have the requested features in the future. What do you think of that?
We haven't discussed it internally, but that's something that Quince and I can discuss about doing some type of public roadmap. But something where obviously where you could vote on and add things to it and all that kind of stuff, right? We haven't. Quince, what are your thoughts on a public roadmap?
We have an update log right now, but we can add a roadmap to it.
We've got an update when we've got the Trello. We've got an internal Trello board. I've seen those used before as a roadmap, but I've also seen ones where you can add your own or upvote others, which I think is really beneficial to see the popularity of different feature requests. But is that what you're talking about, Fabian?
Yes, indeed. Sometimes, because I've been doing some testing because I have friends with TimeBolt, and I was asking my Telegram group, which has around 2,000 subscribers, and about the TimeBolt video, and they say it would be great. And first of all, because I'm trying to make a video about Ninja, but Ninja was against my TimeBolt workflow. But now that I have support, I was thinking on doing it all together and letting people know that there is a roadmap. They can be aware of the future updates. I thought it was pretty cool to include in the video, but in case you don't have it, I can say it will be in the future. A roadmap section. Stay checking the website, the TimeBolt website, on a regular basis to know about the upcoming features.
We'll take a look at that as far as what a public roadmap might look for right now. I don't know. We wouldn't be able to have anything up by the time your video goes live.
Yes, I know. I know, but videos tend to persist in time. Check the section in the future. It will be a section of roadmap. That was my thought. But the main reason I'm here is to give you the feedback on the preview for the Ninja and the ProRes high resolution. It's working fine.
Great.
And in my opinion, it's pretty much on sync all the time. It's awesome to check it out, the video, also including the mark sections of the text to have all the video with the chapters, and the punching section, the idea of it, and I thought it was great to have a punch in and zoom out. Sometimes there are, we create timelines with a default, let's say 120%. You don't make a punch in, you make a punch out, and you make it to 100. That's the exact opposite. All the videos are zoomed in 20%, and they got a zoom out in the punch section. To have an input where you make custom zoom numbers would be also great.
Fabian, we're going to put you on our punch team. We drew up a diagram. We had a previous conversation where you had mentioned about punch sequences. You've got some really good ideas there that you and Maximilian, to have you kind of on our punch team as we continue to develop that feature. But Quinson, you had seen the document that I put together that Fabian had
I did.
out, that kind of had listed out some
I think the punch request was from Fabian, right? I mean, he initially came up with that idea.
Yes. It was mine.
And we would do it fundamentally different than what I've seen out there. There's companies that are out there trying to do punch with AI, and it's whack. It just looks whacked. The punch comes in all at the wrong time, and it's just not squared up. I think that kind of goes to Quinson never wanting to replace human creativity with these features, and a testament to that as well. And just being able to do custom punch zones so that you can properly square it up, whether that's 110% or 125% or 150%, is going to be critical for us as well. It'd be good stuff, and possibly automate some of that. Do you have any questions for Fabian, Quinson?
Not at the moment. Nothing I can think of at the top of my head.
You can arrange a meeting whenever you want. And thank you very much. Congratulations, Quinson. It's working awesome. And the project is growing fast. It has a reach full of features. I love it. I am a huge fan. Thank you very much. And goodbye to all the Miles, Ethan, and TJ for being here. And thank you very much for everything.
Thanks, Fabian. I appreciate your support and talking about TimeBolt. We'll talk soon. Okay. Free to stay on.
Bye-bye.
Miles, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Miles.
You look familiar. Have we met before? Or is this your first time on?
No, it's first time on. First time on. I only bought TimeBolt the other day. Searching YouTube for, I can't remember what it was I was looking at, some sort of YouTube editing thing, and it came up, and I thought, I've been on a bit of a automation kind of role, really. I've been learning how to use Make. I don't know if you come across that at all, to kind of get a lot of things going for my property business, just trying to save time wherever I can. Got 3 little kids, and they take up a lot of time, so I'm doing everything I can to kind of streamline. And TimeBolt, that looks good. And I tried it, and it was cool, but it wasn't exactly what I hoped it would be. I think more because of the error with the file rather than what it can do. I think what it can do is amazing, and I'm fairly certain. I've not had a chance to go through everything properly yet, but Quinston, what you sent through, thank you for all that. It was really useful, and thank you for your explanations too. It was just a strange thing to do with first few frames.
It was very peculiar because I received this same issue only once before. I don't know, 9 months ago. It's a very rare occurrence that those error frames occur in the first few seconds of the file.
What was that? The other incident that you said, what was that from? Was it just something somebody recorded?
It's the same thing. Somebody had a WAV file and they had an MP4, and the WAV file and MP4 wouldn't sync at all. And then we removed the first few frames of the video, and then it worked perfect.
Because the WAV file was that was the one that was created by TimeBolt.
That is very strange.
Because I'd recorded, as I said on the email, I'd been recording it through Riverside. My plan is to do remote podcasts with people. We're doing a podcast called Rebelling from the Rat Race, all about kind of trying to get rid of your day job and sort of build up your own asset base or whatever. Yeah, so we recorded it through Riverside, just the first one, my wife and I, Louise. I downloaded the files, and I've been an audio engineer for ages, but dabbled a little bit, bits and pieces. But the cameras I was using our iPhones, which are decent cameras, especially if you've got good light, but the frame rate was different on each one, which I didn't realise until afterwards. I've now got like syncing issues with that, which is a real pain, which I'm just going to have to drag things around, I think. Trying to figure out whether I'm going to have to do that before or after I TimeBolt everything. Probably a bit roughly there, and then
I would suggest just making sure they're all at the same frame rate first.
Right.
You can handbrake them, re-encode them. You can re-encode the existing 24 frames per second files into 30 or 29.97.
I used a media encoder to do that, but for some reason it seems to somehow, I don't know the issue. It's not a TimeBolt problem, it's just whatever.
The original files you sent me also drifted.
Really?
Which is what kind of, it wasn't drifting as after I removed the first few frames, it did drift. But then Premiere Pro auto-fixed it for some reason. I don't know, 5 seconds, but then Premiere Pro would fix it.
Do you think it's worth trying your suggestion of removing the first frame? Do you think it's worth trying that on those other files just to see if that...
It could work. It could work because, as I said, we don't know where these issues occur. It's very hard to know in the entire pipeline whether it happens at recording or at re-encoding or where they occur. But if we pass them through Premiere Pro once, Premiere Pro recalculates the timestamps, is run through TimeBolt, run through Premiere Pro, so Premiere Pro knows how to handle them in the future.
What is our suggestion with these Riverside recordings?
Not Riverside recordings. This is a specific case for this, the file he sent me. What happened, the issue we had in the afternoon for me, but what happened was the first few frames were causing an issue where it sort of caused the other content to drift, and that was what was causing the sync issues between the WAV file and the MP4. What we did was we took out the first frame and re-encoded the same MP4 file from Premiere Pro to fix the issues.
It wouldn't fix the issue to just trim. We don't have to put anything in Premiere Pro and then re-render anything out. Is there a way just to trim? Do you think that would work?
We trimmed the first frame.
I don't know why or when you would know to do that because I've never seen that before.
I don't have a checklist.
Is there a way when he opens? Is there a way when he opens that thing up in TimeBolt or something? What's this little?
I don't. There could be, but it's not very obvious. You would have to run the program first to the end to realize that there is some issue, or you can even test it. One thing I noticed when I was seeing the original files was that even in the original files I can just show you right now. I have the files in my documents folder.
I don't know if that was recorded because I used my iMac webcam for this main camera, which we weren't actually going to use. It was purely a guide because it was like I wanted to use the second camera feature in Riverside. I had 2 iPhones and then this main one you'll see.
So we can remove the WAV file because he's not. That was just something TimeBolt did, right?
Yeah, I don't even need that.
Yeah.
You don't even need this?
No, TimeBolt made.
Oh, then it's fine then. But yeah, it was what we did was this was what TimeBolt made, right? But it's still out of sync. Which means that the WAV file which TimeBolt created and the MP4, they are not the same, and they're technically the same. This is a good indicator. I mean, you can run this test and check whether they're all.
We do that before we.
You see, it's not in sync. But then the other files which I sent you, which were, if I take this and then I synchronize this,
So
perfectly synced.
you don't intend on censoring the.
No issues at all.
Welcome to episode 1 of
file plus the TimeBolt.
This file is the one where the first frame has been removed and it's been re-rendered. What's causing that issue? It could be anything. It could be the camera doing some funny business, or it could be while it was encoding, something happened. It's very hard to tell.
Does TimeBolt work with videos that are recorded on a variable frame rate? Because I know that's what the iPhones are.
For XML, it does not. So if you export XML, variable frame rate, I wouldn't say it would work. But for the extension does things based on seconds, not frames. It gives it it sends Premiere Pro a second value, maybe 30 seconds, 45.3 seconds. Even if the file is variable frame rate, I would not recommend doing that. Anyway, I would still recommend putting it through Handbrake and evening out the frame rate.
Does Handbrake do the same thing as Adobe Media Encoder?
It's pretty much the same thing. It converts the variable frame rate to standard frame rate, fixed, constant.
The two. To be honest, I think the one you had there actually was fixed. I think that was 24 frames a second, and the other ones were maybe 26 or 28, but they weren't even the same. Like the iPhone 12 Pro Max was different from the iPhone 11.
Are you filming with HDR?
No, I don't think so. But you haven't got much control over the settings. I've emailed Riverside about it just to see, like, can I control these things? Because they're clearly there's some issue. And
on Zoom, there's actually under preferences. I forgot exactly where in the tree it is, but there's a button that says enable for third-party editors, and when you record, and what that does is it takes it from this variable frame rate, which obviously saves bandwidth, and they're saving it on the cloud, to you save it on your computer, and that puts it back to
I can show it 1 second.
Puts it back. There you go.
You see this part?
Oh yeah.
It's in settings. You can go here, optimize for third-party video editor.
I think it is possible with Riverside. I remember looking at the sign-up thing, but it was I think it was a Teams option. You're sort of paying for sort of a higher scale.
Teams. I don't think has. I've looked into that.
No. On Riverside, your sort of entry level package, and then they've got the ones for bigger businesses. They call it Teams rather than Microsoft Teams. I'm hoping that they'll be able to say, because that would certainly help. But I can try those other files because they just Sorry,
Miles. One thing is that the files you sent me, the 24 frames per second files, they weren't variable frame rate. They are regular CFRs.
I was going to say that. Yeah, that one wasn't, I think, and then the other two were, which is weird as well. I don't know why. Because on Riverside they've got an app, and you can log in and you can use your phone as a second camera. So you've got multiple shots, which I thought was great. That's pretty cool. Would use both the fact that they're not fixed frame rate and I can't control it.
Be able to, because that's important. It's important that you have the same frame rate across files.
We'll see what they say. Hopefully they get back to me.
Please let us know. Like if it sounds like you. We really appreciate you going through the time and effort to get the files up there and put up there. This stuff's not fun or easy, but please let us know. That way we can maybe create some type of document for specifically for Riverside. We did for a blog post for Zoom where we'll click this third-party editor button because it saves all issues behind.
Well, I spent a whole day on it. Yesterday and a bit of the day before, and I was I need to just ask for help. But sometimes I think, no, I can fix this. Fix this, and I'll just keep going and going, trial and error. And sometimes it works, but I thought, no, I need to reach out. And then you guys got back to me pretty much straight away, which is amazing.
Absolutely. Is there anything after you get through just getting the files put together? You come back on if you can next Thursday. I'll give you a one-on-one, and I can teach you how to use TimeBolt very quickly. There's lots of little nuances and tricks that you can learn in about 10-15 minutes. That'll save you many hours. I don't know. Are you chapterizing stuff for YouTube and all too?
Our plan for the content, we've got, we're going to do the audio podcast, but I wanted to do video so we can repurpose it for social media. I don't know, and maybe you can tell me this from your experience, whether uploading long form podcasts to YouTube is a good idea, because if people don't watch the whole thing, then obviously your watch time as a ratio is kind of low. I was thinking maybe do it in clips, maybe 3 or 4 minute clips and just lots of them, rather than a whole long program. I wasn't sure which was better. What
I've heard other customers do is they upload when I say long, it's file possible. It's time bolted and cut up, right? It might go from like a 60-minute call or podcast. I'll use Zoom, for instance, because I don't know the time constraints within podcasts and how much time to save. But with Zoom, you'll chop off 10 minutes right off the top with the dead air and another 5.5 minutes of nothing but ahs, so's, likes, those types of things. That'll save you 15 to 20 minutes off the top, right? Now you've got a 40-minute file. There's 2 ways that I saw that you're increasing engagement. One, 2 features. One is the markers feature. And what they'll do is they'll go in, and there's markers are used for 2 different ways. The first one is to make shorts. For the 2 to 3 minute, I don't know what the duration limit is on the YouTube shorts right now, but for those shorter duration shorts, you're able to select your top scenes, what it is that maybe it's a topic you're discussing. Maybe it's what all topics you're going to be discussing throughout the first part or first fifth of the program that you're just selecting the highlights. But you make these individual shorts and then you point it back to your channel or main long form podcast content. For your long form podcast content, why is somebody going to watch a 40-minute show? Well, I'll tell you what helps that process is actual chapter markers for YouTube. Let me just show you real quick. You have some context. You press the letter M to create markers. Here, I'm going to just clear all these markers out. Let's just say you're going through and this is important, and this is important, M. Yep. You can go through and keep only marked cuts. Right here. This is the first way to make short. So it can be 3, 10, 15, 20. Now it turns off everything in your timeline except for.
Are you using a multi-track setup? Does the file have multiple tracks?
Yes, it does.
If you can, do you have a file that you can share your screen with? I'll just tell you what the option is. Excellent.
You can imagine those were highlighted areas. All you do is go down here and you save as XML, and it'll save those marked cuts as an XML. You could do that as many times as you want. you hit Command Z to get back to the original timeline. Command Z undoes, and then I just clear my markers again. Hit clear markers. Now I start off fresh. Now, what I think chapterizing your content for YouTube is probably one of the most important things that you can do with long form. And this is something that we're also working with. Imagine you want to get your entire timeline entirely cut up first. All your ums and ahs, everything, do your automation work stuff first with the dead air. Make sure you've got your settings correct. I don't know if
No, I didn't try that actually.
It's the first 3 are on us. Just make sure you have a legit file in there and your longest file because it legitimately works. It's amazing. I love this thing.
That's something you buy extra credits for.
Yes, you can get free transcriptions. Well, the problem is we keep transcriptions. These transcriptions actually have time-coded timestamps for each individual words. It's something that costs us money. We have to pass that charge on, right?
Okay.
This right here, once you go through and you just hit go, just give it 2 minutes for every 10 minutes of video you have. Just go drink some coffee, do it short, and when you come back, you don't have to do anything. When you come back, this is what it's going to look like. It's all the ums, ahs. It comes pre-populated with the most popular filler words. You don't even have to guess. And now you can go through and see, do you have your own unique filler words, your own unique word ticks? You can add them here with commas. It's very modular. Now, all you do is do split timeline to turn off the words. TimeBolt goes through, identifies the words, and then also any adjacent red parts and chunks them all up, removes the words, then re-chunks the timeline. You don't have 1,000 cuts that you're previewing over blocks of content. If you want to see what it is that you cut, you hit flip timeline. It's kind of interesting the first couple of times you do it, right? Is this thing legit? Is it for real? Does it really only do that? I hit flip timeline to preview only the silences I'm going to be cut. Can you hear this by chance?
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So once all that stuff's gone, it's really a flowing conversation.
Miles, the nice thing about it is I use it, and you would think that I have a tick with and after TimeBolt does this thing, I save 3 minutes. After I do the Umcheck, I have another maybe 2.5 minutes. But the interesting part is when you go back and you watch your video, you would think the video would be all jacked up, but it's not. It's smooth. It doesn't, even though it takes out that word, I would have thought, and Doug, you and I talk about this in the past, I would have thought the video would have been off for something, but it's not.
Whoever's saying they just want to hear people talk natural when they're sitting there staring at a computer screen at home alone probably has tried to cut out ums and ahs by hand and said, screw it. There's no reason to leave this stuff in these videos that you're watching in a one-way conversation. Filler is two-way.
How does it work as was a conversation? And one of the things I noticed talking about ums and stuff, we said, I think a lot. I think this, I think that, and maybe that kind of works, but also we said it quite a lot. And if you were to take beginnings of sentences off, maybe it doesn't matter if it's at the beginning, because I suppose if that's where you edit, could I then, I'm thinking from a visual point of view, maybe it cuts from me to Louise, and if that's where that cut would be where the is or the I think or the yeah, does that then does that mask that sort of transition? Is that the idea?
Visually, you can't. Most of the time when you're using filler words or continuation words, 85% of the time they're at the beginning or end of sentences. Once those are gone, they never even existed in the first place. There's not some jarring, unnatural cut. That's what TJ was talking about. You would think, like, you look at this and you're like, oh my God, But now, when you actually read it, those words are absolutely not needed in this context at all.
If they are in the middle of a sentence, is that something whereby I just actually change it from red to green and just allow it? Because surely it would suddenly.
That's gonna come as a feature in the next few versions. We are actually working on how to make the UI more useful, how to make it more interactive. Right now, it's just you type the words in the box and that just shows up where they are. But we are working on a user interface where you can custom edit individual words if you want to keep them or remove them.
Well, you can change the words.
Let's say you want to take out like.
Yeah.
But there is like one sentence where you want to keep you can select that you just mentioned. You can select that like which you want to keep and then change the color from red to green, for example.
When you click split timeline and turn off words, does that then make those words red in the TimeBolt?
Timeline, correct.
So can I turn that to green if it's in the middle of a sentence then?
You can go and manually do it after.
Yeah, if I'm going through like, that doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't fire.
It'd be really interesting to see. It'd be interesting to hear what percentage of words that actually happens. You're just kind of.
I was thinking more from a video perspective. On audio, it probably makes no difference. But if you see somebody's face, they're talking, and suddenly their head had moved while they were saying, you'd actually see the.
Yeah.
Regarding the Umcheck, Do we then get the transcript as well? Is that then available to use?
No, that's just strictly to cut up the words, right? Because now your whole thing is that's uncut video. Your transcript is going to be an entirely new length, and just it's going to be entirely new, and so that's not going to be useful anymore. What we recommend then, if I'm making marketing brand videos where I want to have the text, the overlaid text and all that, what happens is I make the video, I cut it up in TimeBolt. If I have to do anything to the timeline itself, any design elements maybe that wasn't already captured on the screen, I'd do that in Final Cut, but then I'd take that to ClipScribe. And now once all your dead air is gone, all your ums and ahs, and it's just tight commentary, you would not believe how much more accurate these text to transcriptions and titles become when you're overlaying on top of them. They just become easier to create, manage in these other softwares when you're just not dealing with random noises and things like that. Now it's time to run through and rapidly edit what you see. I usually put this at 1.5x. That way, when I hit the space bar,
data, and
you're previewing faster than real life. And if you don't like something,
there's a file.
I click the O button. Okay. Turns the scene off and skips to the next scene. You don't have to listen to what you don't want, and then you don't have to listen to the next batch of silence. So you can understand why this is going to be the only editor that you can edit a video entirely faster than it took to shoot live.
What does Punch do?
It allows you to zoom in.
Oh, I was trying to figure out how to do that.
You hit the P key, see how it goes up to 175, right? And then I can hit Alt or Option and then the arrow keys, so I can move around and show what it has to punch, right?
Oh, so that's zooming in on the video, not on the waveform.
Correct. It's zooming in on the video. But now you don't need to learn keyframes inside Premiere, right? You can just do your punch in work and punch out work right here.
So is that when you do it to just make a bit of a cut just to keep things fresh? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know all the terminology.
Yes, it's exactly it. So like you could,
yeah, like that.
And then it just comes back. We're looking at, hey, is there a way to automate these sequences where it's, hey, look, these are the ideal punch scenarios, and we just want to punch in every other one just to kind of give it that visual variety. That's something that we're looking at as well. You've got punch, you got speed up silences. These are all in our features, our new features page. You can learn about all of these features on our new features page and the quick keys. What I wanted to show you here is, let's say you're going through and you're not doing shorts right now. You're just trying to chapterize. You get your one long video down into your YouTube video, right? With the YouTube video, this is the start of a new subject. What I do is I click M for marker and I right click and I put, this is the start of a new subject. Then I go through, I'm flying through. I want to keep this, don't want to keep that. And then this is the start of the second subject. I click M and then we'll do a third down here. Okay, so now this is where the magic happens. You can go down and do download markers text file. Okay, and what pops up is a copy paste chapter markers for YouTube. What that means is your minute 5 isn't going to be the same minute 5 in the end right here, right? TimeBolt automatically calculates how much is going to be cut, exactly where that cut is going to start in the final finished rendered video, and then gives you your copy paste chapter markers for YouTube, which allows you to create detailed chapter markers on your first pass, which saves you by minimum, however long your video file is, of rewatching it. Because now imagine having to go back and rewatch your video where you've actually got a time cut and you're not wasting anybody's time. And now all of a sudden those little differences between where a new topic begins is measured in, milliseconds. And you're trying to, I'm trying to get it right here. It took me so much time making chapter markers for YouTube before. That's why we created this, and it's just super fast, man. You can categorize everything.
What happens when, say, I move everything into Premiere Pro, and then I want to tweak, or I add in a section of, I don't know, a graphic or a clip of something in the middle of the thing? Would that then shift the markers, or are those markers stored in Premiere Pro in some way, and can they be updated when I start moving clips around?
No, that's a good question. It's got to be your finished. The length has to just stay constant. You cut your timeline up all the way in TimeBolt before. You couldn't add you can't add an intro. You could add an outro, but nothing that adds time prior to the markers. True.
With the extension, right? With the extension, the markers do show up in Premiere Pro. The initial markers, where they do show up in your sequence. You can estimate based on the previous values of where you would then have to adjust the distance, for example.
And can you skip in Premiere Pro from marker to marker to marker?
You can. The thing about Premiere Pro is that you won't get the download text file. You'll have to make that manually. But at least what you'll get is you'll get the location in terms of seconds and minutes of where that marker is in Premiere.
What sucks is you'd still have to go back. This is what we were trying. What sucks is you still have to go back, find the marker, and then remember out of the 18 to 20 that you're going to create on your first pass. Remember, what was the name of this topic again? You already go through all this stuff in your head, then have to go back and watch it. And obviously,
what you can do is that, for example, you can do the markers in TimeBolt, mark them all, name them, generate the markers text file. You already have the text file now. And then when you export that into Premiere Pro, or you use the extension in Premiere Pro, it will show you the markers. And then what you can do is, you already have the text file, and then you can just adjust the numbers, adjust the seconds, because where they are, you can estimate how much shift is happening.
Roughly in the same place, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. You can adjust it afterwards.
When you said it, when I use the extension, does that brings in the JSON file? Are the markers
Correct.
in the JSON file?
The JSON file. The markers are in the JSON file.
Paste version that we could just copy into YouTube, but there's also in the JSON is the markers as well.
No, the markers text. The markers text file is. Doug, can you show him how to do the markers text file?
I'm sorry, the markers text file.
So how do you get it? Can you show him how to get the markers text file?
Oh yeah, so it's just right here. Download markers text file.
And how do I get that into Premiere Pro to literally put markers?
You don't get this in Premiere Pro. It doesn't. The markers that you apply in the timeline, the end markers. You scroll up, the underscore that you see, the yellow underscore in each green section of the timeline. That is what shows up in Premiere Pro. You get a marker. You get an actual marker that this was a clip that was marked.
Oh, so does the clip have a little bit of color on it? Or...
Bit of. I'll just show you 1 second.
Sorry, I've used Premiere Pro a little bit, but not. I'm more of a audio.
Well, Quinson's bringing that up. Miles, did you say you use Riverside?
We tried it for the first time last week.
Because just real quick, while Quinson's bringing that thing up, one thing that we do is we use Riverside. We create wave files. We have an intro track. Then my boss, my colleague, asks the third person a bunch of questions, and then we take those wave files and then we adjust them. I use Resolve. I adjust them in Resolve to create one MP4 file, and then once that's finished, then I bring it into TimeBolt, and then that's where I think you could possibly start doing your markers as well.
Oh, so maybe save that stage for slightly later.
Right, exactly.
Just
a thought. Like I said, when you mentioned Riverside, you got me thinking about it. I'm sorry, Quinston, go ahead.
You see these yellow icons? These are markers. You can. The same concept in TimeBolt is applied here. You press the M, you put your header where you want, and you press M, and you get this yellow marker. What TimeBolt does is the markers, the items that you have marked in TimeBolt with the M key or with the right click, that yellow will show up as a starting position here.
You'll just have to count them. You'll just have to count.
If you click on it, your header gets adjusted, and will give you the time of where it is.
Okay, that's cool.
You would adjust that time in the text file of that was generated by TimeBolt, because they're just going to be off if you're adding and subtracting time, but the number of markers won't change.
Does Premiere have like an event list where it's thinking with my audio head on in Logic, if you've got MIDI events that are happening, you've literally got a list of every single event that happens. Which key is pressing at what time on the. Does Premiere Pro have anything like that where you've got like this clip happens at this time code point? Or
I know Premiere Pro and how to edit it, but I'm not an expert at Premiere Pro. So
maybe it does exist.
It might, because I know there are lots of automations that you can do with Premiere Pro. You can write custom scripts and you can do a lot of automation. I don't know if that's what you mean, but there are tools and resources where you can figure it out.
Just copy and paste the markers, as I said, like in similar form to what you've done. I wondered if that was possible. Cool. How did you guys, if you've got time, just curious, how did you start TimeBolt? Where did it come from?
Same thing you're going through. Just Quince and I had around the same time back in 2019. You started building TimeBolt in January of 2000.
The first version, I built a normal script, Python script in 2017, but I didn't know how to deploy it because I was still in college. Then I graduated, and a few years later, 2019, I think February, I started building the deployable version. And then Doug found me somehow, and then he messaged me on LinkedIn. Let's work together on this project, and fine, let's do it.
He had this product because I was trying to find a job, and you want to be as persuasive as possible when you're making video. And I saw this jump cut effect on LinkedIn. I didn't even know what a jump cut was, and I'd been in video a long time. And I started seeing this where he just never took time to think, pause, or breathe. And that makes sense. I could watch this. It's heavy information-based content. And I went and looked, and I was, holy crap, people really do this by hand. It took me 5 minutes for every 1 minute of video. And I'm 2.5 hours into a 30-minute video. I was, holy crap, people really do this by hand, looking at an audio waveform, just looking for dead spots. I built the brand TimeBolt around the concept of it to show employers what I could do. And then 4 or 5 months later, I found Quinston, and we just decided to put the product and brand together and go into business. And we've been in it for 37 months now? 30.
Yeah.
Amazing. How many users have you got?
Well, our email list's around 14,000. Then we've had around 3,700 people give us money.
No, I know we're late, guys. I still had another question.
Sure.
Sorry.
I could share my Miles. This is all good stuff, man. Let me just share my screen. I'll show you something here. Doug, this one right here is just a recording that I did for you on an issue that I had that's been resolved already. This is with OBS, and check a look at the timing on the gaps.
Hey, Doug, I'm sorry we didn't get together this past week on Thursday. I'd like to get together with you to talk about my workflow with Riverside, TimeBolt, and Resolve. But I do have another question.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's a Zoom thing. The one that I showed you guys earlier was a Zoom recording. What I'm going to do this week is I'm going to do a Zoom recording I normally do, test that with 509, and then I'm going to do it again without the third party option clicked, and see if that's something that is causing it as well. But I'll keep you up to date. But one other thing I wanted to ask you was transcripts and stuff. And is there anything that you guys can do Zoom's transcript file, which is what I do, because we have people that do the enablement sessions for us and stuff. They're actually technical writers. They will take these transcript files and use it. And as you can see, 7th conversation, the time and the duration, the person that did it, and what they said and stuff. And I wasn't sure if that's anything that you guys might be able to utilize as part of your transcripts and stuff.
The issue with that file specifically is that it doesn't mention the words, it mentions sentences.
Yeah.
We need the start and end positions of the words itself. If we use sentences, what's going to happen is that it might cause a lot of issues where there might be overlapping words. I could write an algorithm which estimates how big a word is, but I would not be confident in pushing that to production because it might not be the most accurate solution.
I just wanted to bring that up because you guys got me thinking when you were talking transcripts and stuff. I just wanted to bring that up because, as I mentioned, when we do a Zoom call, audio file only, we get the video audio file, we get the chat file, and then we get the transcript file that we get downloaded every single time.
That's why that people are question about Umcheck. Well, I can get the transcripts for free off Zoom, but I was thinking the same thing. It's about the word coordinates is what that file doesn't contain, and that costs money.
Session, guys. I
appreciate that. It's good thinking. I thought the same thing, man.
I wish that we could just use all of these transcripts, but then all of these transcripts are not very accurate. And I think instead of producing a product that is not very accurate, we have our own solution, which is incredibly accurate. That's why Umcheck exists the way it does.
Makes sense. Does anybody else have any additional questions, Miles?
One more. Another thing I noticed, and I don't know, it could have been because my parameters for what I select may have not been long enough, but when I was editing, I had lots of little slivers of, I can't remember what caused it, but there were quite a lot of them. And because
at the end of the file?
No, throughout.
Okay.
I don't know I can't remember what caused it, whether it was then I did extra cuts and then I ended up going back listening through and I realized that I actually want to get rid of that little section there. Hard to select because I just couldn't, I kept trying to get the pointer on it, but then
you can send it to me. You can, the next time you can run the file again, see what they are, and when you find them, you can take a video and you can send it to me, and we can figure it out.
You're not. I know what you mean. I've seen those little tiny slivers. What the hell do I do with those? But that's typically just done within settings. Just make sure that your filter below and all that stuff. Just make sure that you're kind of around these settings, because if you're not, that's probably why you're getting these little slivers.
I'll take a screenshot of that. I can show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can. You can share a screen and show us.
Share screen, okay. So these tiny little ones, and there's some that I had that were even smaller, and I'd try and click on them, and then it would be I'd end up just making that red.
Yeah.
Just wasting time. Whereas if I could zoom in, that would have been easier to deselect or select if I decided I wanted to keep it in.
Can you put your right padding, put your left padding at
0.01. Sorry, 0.01.
And then your right padding at 0.15. Let's see what that does.
And ignores detection.
Oh yeah,
shorter
0.75. The ignore detection shorter than. I'm telling you right now, if you do anything, it just doesn't do its job. At 0.75 it's going to be good for you.
But this needs to be 0.75.
Yes, it just is. And then hit.
Okay.
Probably increase your filter below settings to about 37, I guess. 37. Your audio volume is low.
It is. Yeah, you see how you're kind of cutting off at minute 8 minutes and 20 seconds. See how that little trailing, you move your cursor to the left a little bit. No, not there.
You can click on it. You can click on it. You can click on the timeline at the end where it's cutting off.
Oh, there,
yeah, right there. See that? That's something that you don't want to.
You can click on it. Can you click? No, on the timeline. Can you click on the timeline at that position at where it cuts off? On the timeline. Below on the timeline where it cuts off. You see that 43 minus 43?
Oh,
yeah, I can set that and it's done. Now you can update silence detection.
Well, that can I drag these? You know, if I realize.
No, you can't drag them because they are applied across the timeline. They are not individuals. The function, the TimeBolt function, is applied on the entire clip. You can't drag them, but you can split the timeline once you're finished with the settings. What you can do is you can hit
update silence detection settings. Let's just.
What you do is you have this file, right?
Click that.
Can you see my screen?
No, I'm still showing mine.
Can you stop yours? I'll just show you something.
Yeah. Okay.
In order for the changes to take effect, you have to hit update silence.
Yeah. So there's two things. One thing is, let's say I'm at 42 right now, right? 42.836 or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I change this to 35. Once I change this to 35, I have to update my detections because the detections are applied across the entire file. I update selections, and now the detections are updated based on these settings. Now, let's say I want to add this section, this little section to this part over here. What I do is I bring my cursor to this part, I press S, and that cuts, then I can turn this on. Exactly. But you only do this after you have perfected your silence detection.
Yeah.
Because if you do it before, you can't update it again.
Do you think I should record at a slightly higher volume then? I wasn't sure what to record for video.
Here, share your screen again. Let's see what those settings changes did to you.
Well, I wanted to show you one more thing, actually. One thing is that if I go, let's say, minus 20 decibels, and I update this, it's not taking as much information as it's skipping a lot of information, keeping a lot of it in red. If you go below 35, the lower you go, the less information is going to show up. And the higher you go, let's say I go minus 50, the more information is going to capture. You can use that yardstick as the estimation thing where you can estimate how much you want to capture. Usually it's the best is 35. If you're recording at a lower volume, you can go 40, cover a lot of area. You can show yours settings, we can update them.
You just show your screen. Let's just make sure that you're setting, when you hit updates, it fixes everything for you, and including the little slivers and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think that's...
No, you can update. Yeah, hit update. Yeah.
Update.
Oh yeah, something happened.
Is there any way of zooming in?
Not right now.
But if you notice,
I'm so used to doing it from like an audio perspective to be able to kind of see if I've got like the.
Well, we're knocking out some problems for you right now. What you don't see is the slivers. We just knocked that problem out for you.
Yes, true. Good point. Talking about saving time, like that was like, oh.
And now your audio, you probably aren't going to have to worry about adding little time as much as you're concerned with automation and stuff, dude. This is good. This is good settings for you. It doesn't matter if you change your audio or not. That was a great call, Quincy, about just kind of putting your cursor in there and hitting update silence detection settings or filter below from that. And absolutely.
I would still say you keep it at 40-ish. 43 might be overkill.
So shall I when I'm recording just boost the signal a little bit so it's a little bit hotter?
I think that's a good idea because your volume is not very loud.
I just didn't want it to clip if we suddenly start laughing loudly. I had a limiter on audio jack, just not really going to clip, but still.
Well, Miles, join us next week after you're going to get your files squared away. And if you want to optimize how quickly you can go through and what the quick keys do and stuff like that. But again, our features page right there provide a lot of value and just kind of run through the tutorials on everything that's offered in TimeBolt. Are there any additional questions?
I've just got one more really quick one, hopefully. What's the difference between using an XML and using the extension in Premiere Pro? Is one better than the other, or? The
XML, I'd say, is faster, but XML is good for single files. If you have one video file, one long video file, I suggest use XML because it's instant. We're in TimeBolt right now. I just go down, I click on the XML button, and see how fast this is. You're done. And then you can just take this file, drop it directly into your media pool, and you're ready to go. The way you drag it is this. You just go to the folder, whatever it says, you just drag it and drop it in.
Did it put the video in because it's in the same folder?
No, the XML file has a link to where the video is. And then you have to change your, there are two ways to view this file. One is by icon view, and the other is list view. I suggest using list view, because then it shows you a clear distinction between which one is the video file and which one is the sequence. The video file goes inside the sequence, but TimeBolt does that for you automatically. What you do is you take this file and you double click on the icon, the sequence. I don't think you can zoom into it, but see, you click this and then your XML is done.
But I can't then, if I had multiple, like a multicam thing, that won't work.
You can create multiple sequences, right? Multicam thing, sure. If you have multiple cameras, then I would not suggest using XML.
Yeah.
It's too difficult.
We just because you do have an extension, it is just as fast. It's pretty much just as fast, right? You're just applying a JSON with an extension. But when you get into multicam files, since you need the extension to do that in here, we just recommend just learn the extension, because now that we've got you can translate the fast forward silences, the punch in, all the different elements that you do inside TimeBolt, translate now through the JSON, and the JSON allows you to do the multi-track. If you've got multiple video tracks coming in, which you probably get going because you save so much time editing on this other stuff, right, you'll already be set up with a JSON. It's just synchronizing the file and then applying the.
Mine goes really slow. On an hour's footage, it seems to take sort of 5 minutes. I'm on an iMac 2019. It's not particularly powerful. What are you guys running your stuff on computer?
I have a 4090, and I have the M2 Max, the new one.
And I'm really jealous. I've got good light. I got some Elgato lights in my ZBE10. My new place in Boston.
I need it for the job.
There you go. He's got some. Yeah, he's got
something to aim for, isn't it? Real amazing. Well, thank you very much for all your time. It's been really good customer service as well, I must say.
Awesome, Miles. We appreciate you jumping on. Same with you, TJ, as always. And that does it for Office Hours on February 23rd. 2023, live with Doug and Quinston. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell. And we're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, gentlemen.